Hey God Gamers, it's Kwing here, bringing you another fun HD review. This time, GodGame.com brings you the Rocketeer, Dark Void, a Capcom game, and honestly, once you beat it, you'll never play it again. Anyway, our fellow critics in the industry have been lukewarm with this game of late, but we thought we could do a little more in depth than our competitors. Not that it will matter, but let's begin this review. The story takes place during World War II and centers around a cargo pilot named William. Flying over the Bermuda Triangle, the plane crash lands into another world known as the Void. While exploring the Forgotten World, Will encounters an alien race known as the Watchers and decides to fight with the human survivors against the aliens. Like that hasn't been done before. Dark Void is an action third-person shooter platforming game with some flying mechanics too. Players take on the role of William Gray, aka the Rocketeer. Before we begin, you're probably all wondering why I call William the Rocketeer. Okay, I will tell you. Will flies airplanes, just like the Rocketeer. Will wears a brown leather jacket, just like the Rocketeer. Will has a jetpack, just like the Rocketeer, and a funky yellow helmet, and the story takes place during World War II, just like the Rocketeer. Now that you're up to speed, stop annoying me. Players are thrust into the Jetpack Combat once the game opens up. This is done to adjust players to mastering dogfights and maneuvering with the rocket. After that, the game flashes back and acts like a third-person shooter. Killing enemies awards the player with red orbs to increase your points. Then by going to a briefcase, you can actually upgrade your weaponry, which actually comes in pretty handy. After falling into the void, Will fights for humanity against the aliens, all the while trying to get back to Earth. Similar to most of the third-person shooters, players need to duck and take cover during skirmishes with the Watchers. Otherwise, charging into the gunfire will turn Will into Swiss cheese, which isn't good for Will. Players are also able to fire the gun without looking, zoom in for greater accuracy, and throw grenades as well. While not usually the best course of action, the Rocketeer can use melee attacks on any enemy in the game. You do this by pressing the circle button. It's best advised to use this against weak Watchers, because the tougher enemies will fight back. After Will gets a hover pack, he can use this in combat to attack enemies or evade them. It's your choice. The platforming element has to do with jumping down to the next platform or scaling upwards with the hover pack. However, the gameplay shifts gears once Will has the rocket, and this is where the fun starts, kind of. Will can fly faster by tapping the triangle button and maneuver just like in a combat flight sim game. Players have mounted machine guns on the rocket, and later you can upgrade to missiles too. Pressing the X button will actually have Will hover, and this is how you land in this game. Otherwise, you'll die when you crash into stuff, so landing's important. Dark Void has numerous God of War style boss battles, forcing the player to hit the correct button to hang onto an enemy, or commandeering an enemy UFO thingy. Which actually gets pretty repetitive after a while. Now personally, it's not that this game does anything wrong per se, but it doesn't do anything good either. The controls are fine except during dogfights. I felt that the camera angles weren't best suited for intense aerial dogfighting. It takes some time to get adjusted to it, and while you're getting adjusted to it, you're going to slam into a wall. However, I did notice some audio skipping during dogfights and the game actually skipping frame rates as well. I also had the game freeze on me on more than one occasion during land and air missions. The duck and cover system is nowhere near as good as Gears of War or Avatar for that matter. But the biggest complaint about this game is it doesn't offer anything but story mode. That's it. No online play, no local multiplayer, no mission modes, no nothing. Once beating it, there is no need to play this game ever again. All the good it has going for it is it has an achievement system. Whoopity-doo! Most of the missions are all the same too, no variety at all. Either Will needs to disable some generators or guard something, and of course the flying missions. They spice it up by adding a boss battle every once in a while, but it just doesn't work and dulls very quickly. Probably the biggest thing going for this game is the graphics, and even that isn't saying much. While certainly not the best looking HD game we've ever seen in the past, The environments are massive and the detail is exquisite. The cutscenes aren't that bad either, although they get kind of boring, but you can skip them. The music is super excellent, and I love it when the game does a full-blown orchestrated score. So at least Capcom doesn't follow the MIDI trend of other HD games I reviewed this year. For an HD game of this caliber, developers have no excuse and need to spend time on the music, even for an average game. I really respect what Capcom does, and it shows how much they contribute to the modern age of gaming by having the music sound jawsome. The music was composed by legendary Battlestar Galactica composer Bear McCreary. The music was actually recorded by a 63-piece ensemble of Hollywood Studios Symphony, and it shows. The music is so emotional, and I only wish the game was half as good as its score. Even though the dogfighting had some very dramatic yelling at my TV moments recently, for the most part it was kind of fun. Now it's not anywhere near as epic as the Skycrawler games I reviewed for Got Game last month, but it does have some merit, and Will can interact with enemies and allies too. Players get to decide on being the Rocketeer or hopping into an allied or enemy fighter, so giving us the variety is the spice of life. Thank you, Capcom. Since these levels take some time, it was a nice change of pace from the boring third-person shooter mechanics. I didn't really use the targeting system cause it stunk. Instead, I relied on my flight combat skills to see me through, and it wasn't that bad. Will also has the ability to hop inside an AA gun, and it's the best way for surviving the Arc Assault levels. The gameplay for these minigames was very responsive and made flying in the jetpack seem unnecessary. Considering the power and accuracy with the AA guns as opposed to your wimpy 60 caliber fixed cannons, you're going to want to hop in the AA guns more often. My favorite gun to use had to be the Alien Sniper Rifle. While low on ammunition, that thing upgraded is oodles of fun. Upgrading is actually the key to success, and I would advise doing the machine gun and the rocket first. Capcom was very sneaky and added a new Game Plus feature, giving players the ability to replay the game using all your upgraded weapons. Although, if you choose to do this, that's your decision. Dark Void doesn't really offer anything different than the many other space third-person shooter games that we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, PS3 and 360 are littered with tons of this stuff, and honestly, it's all the same Halo, Aliens, War, Space Betrayal, drama, blah blah blah. In all honesty, you would be better off renting this game or skipping it altogether. Heck, we had more fun with James Cameron's Avatar. So GodGame.com gives Dark Void for the PS3, 360, and PC a 5.5 out of 10. Well, that's going to do it for us. Keep it locked here for new stuff all the time from GodGame.com. This is Kwing as always saying God bless and happy gaming. Until we meet again, gamers. See ya!
Let's see how they like this.